is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi Magnish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. The Stand Your Ground bill faces an uphill battle. Prime Minister UNDP discussed growth projects for TNT. Chamber urges stronger TNT-India trade links. And internationally, UK seas hit record warmth, changing marine life. Now for the details. Leader of government business in the Senate, Darrell Allaha, says the government could struggle to pass proposed Stand Your Ground legislation given the two-thirds majority needed in both houses of Parliament. At a public consultation in Debe, Allaha said the UNC has enough support in the House but will need 6 independent senators to back the bill in the Senate, with the PNM unlikely to vote in favor. The legislation expected in Parliament in September would make home invasion a specific offense, carrying fines up to $750,000 and prison terms up to 25 years, and would define when legal force is legally justified. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar met with the UN Development Programme on initiatives to boost national growth. The discussions included creating a US $20 million social impact fund to support NGOs and small businesses, hosting the regional launch of the 2025 Human Development Report, and establishing a youth forum for skills and leadership training. The UNDP says these projects align with the government's plans to attract investment, create jobs, and promote sustainable development. The Greater San Fernando Chamber of Commerce says Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit has opened new opportunities to expand trade between TNT and India. Chamber President Kiran Singh says deepening ties is critical as new U.S. tariffs on TNT exports could hurt foreign exchange earnings. Indian High Commissioner noted TNT already exports US $221 million in goods to India, mainly petrochemicals, and said there is interest in increasing imports such as methanol, pharmaceuticals, and food products. Internationally, the UK seas have recorded their warmest start a year since records began with surface temperatures in the first 7 months more than 0.2 degrees Celsius above previous highs. Scientists say the warming, driven largely by climate change, is attracting species like octopus, jellyfish, and bluefin tuna, while forcing cold water fish such as cod further north. Warmer seas are also linked to marine heat waves, reduced carbon absorption, and challenges for fishing communities, with some species like whelks already suffering mass die-offs. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi Magnish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
Hello, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Mark Anthony Peter, and welcome to Breakthrough right here on WESN Content Capital. And as per usual, on the Breakthrough table, Mark Anthony Peter, MAP, is joined by Sean Michael Small, SMS. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I actually now realize we kind of like, our styles kind of match, you know. You're the Blue Ranger, I'm the Lavender Ranger.
The Lavender Ranger?
Yeah.
That sounds...
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
That sounds non-ranger.
No, black jackets, colored shirts, the shirts aren't similar like palettes,
This is what we wear all the time, Sean.
I don't wear the shirt every Monday. I wear different shirts, and you wear different shirts. We wear variations of white and black stuff, blue striped, pinstripe, polka dots, whatever, right? It just happens, you know, we're matching. One would think it was planned. No, it was not.
It's never planned.
Nope.
It's never planned. But we end up, you know, sort of matching. There was a time I remember in season 1, I literally came in the exact same shirt as you.
It wasn't the exact same shirt, but it was close enough.
It was the same.
But which
blue.
one was it?
It was like a baby blue type of something.
Striped.
No, not striped.
Not
plain.
striped?
No, yeah, plain.
Oh, yes, I do have one of those, like a sky blue.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
The only I think I didn't wear my jacket that day. So you wore a jacket.
Yeah.
But I think on that very same episode, I said, you know what, I'll watch Talking Point every Monday so that I don't come in the same shirt as you. Which I never actually, I probably did it once
to wake
after.
up. Yeah.
I was like,
The sad part is you really just need to watch 5 seconds to know, right? You don't have to watch you don't even have to watch 5 minutes.
yeah, but I didn't remember. I only remember the week after. I was like, wait, yes, let me check to make sure. That's what he's wearing? Okay, cool. And then the following week, up till now, no, it just never happened.
Okay.
It was quite annoying, but it is what it is.
You are way too caught up on like wardrobe issues that I think is healthy.
No.
Listen, if we had like
Define the health.
if we had a wardrobe department where we could
Right.
source clothes
Right.
and have a stylist plan things out, fine,
Right.
right? But listen, folks, let's just peel the curtain back. This is my shirt, that is his shirt. Like at some point, I mean, I don't know is it that you have that little clothes that you're gonna become redundant in only a few months? He's like, I think at one point he was worried, no, but I wore this shirt like last year. I'm like, so? It's been a year.
No, but the episodes are posted online, right? So it's like,
Okay.
it may look confusing.
You think Stephen A. Smith or Larry King is already saying suspenders like every night? Stephen A. Smith and Steve Harvey, they don't have one suit for every episode, okay? And at some point, it doesn't matter if you actually have 16 different gray suits. People are not going to assume there are 16 unique suits.
You know what? Maybe it's the influence of others in my life, particularly one specific costume designer. One specific.
Oh, costume designer.
Yeah. So, cause sometimes I will tell the people like, let's just show up in black and white or something, and they'll be like, no, we did
No,
that
that's
already.
Mark. That's different. That's a performance which happens relatively limited number of times a year.
Right.
We're talking about a weekly, if not potentially a 6 times a month appearance, if and when you're on Talking Point,
True.
right? Like that's a lot more times to try to have unique outfits.
I just like to take very good care
Yes, folks, it's a
and
process.
effort into making sure that the hair is on point, the face is
Well, the
not
hair is
ashy.
different. The hair is different.
I'm
The face
working
is
my way
different.
down that the hair is good, the face is not ashy, and that the wardrobe is well put together, right? And even if that means putting a large gap, I've come to accept the fact, you know what, I'm just gonna wear the
Yeah,
same
like
thing.
you don't have infinite clothes.
Yeah, I don't. I actually did take out the shirt and said, when did I wear this? And then when I looked myself in the mirror, I was like, oh, I wore this the last time you were in Tobago. When we were talking.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that he is able to psychologically function right now because that wasn't that long ago.
No, I guess it's depending on how tired I am.
Wow. Okay.
Like,
So at
that's
some
it.
point you compromise your values, right? At some point I understand. I understand. Stick to art, my friend. Don't go to politics.
I will.
you know?
I will. You know, the different
You know,
art forms.
if we can't trust you to hold true to your own vision for your own wardrobe diversity, how can we trust you in other things?
Wow, that took a turn. All right, I'm going to take another turn. Let's get to our topic of discussion for today. So, much like, you know, making sure that we're looking good, making sure that the outfit is on point, that's an art form, right? You know what is an art form? You feel like you were about to say something just based on the facial
Now I
expression.
wish I had something. Now I really wish I had something. This is like I have nothing. I just,
Okay, all right. But no, have you ever considered community building being an art form?
in the sense that human interaction to some extent is an art form, I guess, but to say that I have thought it out in that way conceptually,
Right.
no. What I have lamented And I do think this is somewhat human nature. But perhaps because of our size and inexperience, if it was a larger country, what happened, you could mix and match, like what's not in this relatively large town, you can maybe find in that relatively large town that's not too far away.
Right.
Now we have towns / that we call cities that are not necessarily small, but we're still kind of a small population, right? And for a lot of communities, like obviously your job, unless it fills up, will always persist. And whatever community with your co-workers is there. And your family will always persist. But anything outside of that, at times, is always at risk of breaking down very easily, in part because we're small, so it won't take much members to have to move on for the organization to now be in trouble. And this is outside of music, folks. This is any activity, any non-professional activity, and even to some extent, some niche professions, right?
For sure, for sure.
And just how hard it is to build a community, to build something new, because one of the things being in a small island nation, right, or similar to a small town, there will always be things that you see like big city first world countries have that we don't have. And you're like, I wish we could do that. We're just not big enough for it. And you could maybe try to build a community for whatever hobby you have.
Right.
And sometimes it's successful, like competitive shooting or hashing or dragon boat racing. And sometimes it's not.
Right. Those are very random examples that you just brought up.
Right, but they're diverse.
But correct,
Right.
correct. So the thing about this topic, I came across it on an Instagram post, right? And I saw the first page and I thought this is interesting, that community building is an art form. And when I was younger, like maybe pre 22, 23, somewhere around there, I would not have considered it. But it's something that, as you mentioned, the hobbies and all of those things to build a community takes a lot of effort. Because right?
You have a lot more experience in the art community, in the art space, trying to build actual individual communities.
So to consider because I always thought it's the community coming together for the art form.
Right.
Right? Whether the art form be orchestra, whether it be a cast of actors, whether it be choir or anything like that. But the fact that the community itself, building the community itself, aside from just the art form, is itself an art form, it was very interesting to consider. So the post went on to say, community building is an art form. It's a living, breathing practice shaped by appreciation. It's a living, breathing practice shaped by appreciation, creativity, and connection. Like any art form, community requires intention, right? Emotional presence, time and attention, a willingness to experiment, and space for imperfection, right? We don't create community once and call it done, which is what I thought is okay, we want to do this thing, let's do this thing.
No, but
whether it's a long-term or short-term like endeavor, right?
Could it be because now that you're older, you have the benefit of experience?
Yes. Yes.
So it's not, now from practice, even if you didn't know this, even if you couldn't label it with these terms, you know that it's not a one and done.
Correct. And I see it, and when reading this, there are very few mentors in my life that have taught me this,
or something
that has put effort into community, and now reading this, now having this sort of, my perspective broadened with this, I'm able to say I understand why now, right? Because they understood it. They understood, even though they, again, like you said, they didn't use the exact words, but they understood that beyond just the art that you want to create, the community itself, keeping it, building it, maintaining it, that can be considered an art form. You know, things like reflecting, adjusting, refining, implementing, repairing, and learning as we go, right? And it's bringing your own style, your own wounds, your capacity, your gifts, your healing, and your own way of expressing care, right? So it's interesting that, yes, all of these things require effort, all of these values you need to implement, all of these things about effort and capacity you need to bring to the table. But it's very often not seen, at least for me, I didn't see it as there's the art and then there's the community. I always thought of it as there's the art and the journey along towards creating the art, then we sort of deal with things as we go, as opposed to just the community
I think
itself?
because we take it for granted, because you see this in properties, gated communities, and in the states of the homeowners associations. You see this in any social group, right? At some point, somebody will be there who is not there to continue to advance the purpose of the group. So in the case of gated community, the purpose of having a group is to share, to deal with the shared responsibilities fairly equally, right? But then there'll be people who is like, no, I want to be in charge because, right? And a whole host of other things. If it comes to a performing group and artistic community, who wants to be featured more? Who wants to have more credit, right? If it's a hobby group, certain hobbies comes with financial commitments, right? You need to get whatever gear. If it's rock climbing, if it's trading cards, if it's video gaming, if it's, even if it's a band and that's a hobby, right? There'll be some sort of financial consideration, who thinks they deserve a cut,
Right.
or whether they deserve or not they want a cut, right? And what tends to happen is, in business, people start businesses without fully understanding the formal steps, which are, it's not that this is the only way to do it, but you're learning from the mistakes of others, right? So when you have now some organization that is not necessarily a business, but it's a community, it could eventually lead to a business, right? But a lot of the community and the art forms are amateur, semi-professional, not professional, right? You don't always have that structure now in order to point the way. So literally one of the first lists there, the order of it, intention, emotional presence, time, and attention. Like literally, and then it goes to a willingness to experiment and a space for imperfection. The last 2 points speak to the long run. To keep it going in the long run, you need that flexibility to include more perspectives and adjust when necessary because circumstances might change. But just to start off, you need the intention of to say, not just let's form a group, but the intention of let's form this group to do this.
Right.
And that will then inform us, because this is our purpose, anything that will contradict this or put this at risk, we have to consider, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this, right? So that we formally understand, if we are here to say we want to put on charity theater productions to make money for this charity, to feed the poor, right? Well, obviously, when someone is like, yeah, but if we spend this extra money so that we could have this extra doohickey and thing, do we really want to do that? Do we really want to spend more money on production value if it's not necessary, right? Or do we really want to, oh, but what if we start paying people so we can have the, yeah, but we're here to raise funds. Like at some point, if we start to go professional and we have expenses that are too high, we won't be raising funds. And then people will say, it's a charity, but what are you paying yourselves for?
Well, this goes back to, well, this, exactly, this kind, I remember it's a discussion that we had some time ago, where how you treat your people. Because if you treat your people well, people will understand the purpose, understand what business we're standing on.
Yeah, or maybe not business, but yeah, the purpose. What is
yes.
What is our
when I say business,
function?
Yes. function. Then people will be more than willing to put in that effort.
Because they opt in.
They opt in, and then they can make, and then you give them that freedom to make a decision as to if this is what they want to participate in or not. Because if you constrain and hold and limit people, and you do things just to try to keep them, then you sort of you take that freedom away from them, and then they then feel stifled. But it one of the points that really came up to me, that really stood out to me, was the space for imperfection.
Yes.
And I would say at least myself having been in leadership positions and sort of being the attached to the outcome sort of person that I am, I have learned that I've learned that the process sometimes the process leads to the product. And you need to be very, very aware of what the process is going to be, and you need to be very present in the process. And sometimes you do have to let go of the product that you have in mind, because sometimes when you focus on the product, sometimes that blinds you within the process. Sometimes you just get so caught up on what you want it to look like, how you want it to sound, how you want it to flow, that sometimes that blinds you and that limits you within the process, and then you're disconnected from everybody else. You're disconnected from the actual purpose. When you're engrossed in the process of it, like, and I guess this is also the teacher side of me coming on. Like, I'm not really concerned with. I have a perfect example. So I was telling one of my voice students, I'm training you so that you don't have to need me. I am training you so that you can go through the thought processes on your own, so that you can think through the technical things, the emotional things, the expressive things on your own. I'm just sort of, I'm teaching you how to sing, but I'm sort of coaching you through I'm coaching your mind through the process that you have to sort of put yourself through, so that when I'm not there, and there will come a time when I'm not there, you can do it on your own. And that's sort of the learning process, as opposed to just the product of, can you sing this song well for this specific event? No, I don't just want you to sound good. I want you to be able to sound good in a healthy way and be able to get there on your own as well.
Right, know how to do it by yourself.
Know how to do it by yourself.
Don't need a coach to get you there.
Correct, so that's the whole process that I'm talking about. So I could be, in that moment, I could be very blinded and very, I want you to sound like this. But then that leaves room for error, because what if I'm so obsessed with the sound that I want them to create that I teach them that I impart a way for them, that I teach them how to achieve the sound, but in a way that's unhealthy, in a way that's not efficient for their voice. As opposed to the process of singing, the process of phonation, I teach you the healthy and efficient way to
But not just that, it's better, like even in sports, if you understand the intention of the play, then if something goes wrong, you know how to adjust.
Right.
You don't need to, so something went wrong, how do we adjust? It's like, no, the play is happening. And if it's a performance, you're on stage. The play is happening, right?
The play is happening.
But I think like it's very easy to think a space for imperfection is about art. But I think that what you just said there is, that example could also apply outside of just art itself. You need to have a space to make mistakes, for people to grow, for people to know, hey, if like one of the major weaknesses of any sort of small community is that it is too dependent on one person. Usually the founder or the person that stabilized the situation after a founder, right? And that's cool, except what happens when that person leaves, when that key cog leaves or is unable. Maybe they have to move for their professional situation. Maybe they married a foreigner and they want to move countries. Maybe they themselves are pursuing some dream of theirs, and it's like, I can't stay here forever just for a hobby and give up a job opportunity or a marriage or my dream.
I see it happening in families as well, and this is a little bit more serious than just somebody leaving. This is somebody sadly like passing away, right? That
always happens too in any community. Yes.
Right. So when that person tends to be the person that holds the community together, tends to be the glue. Or if it's like somebody you consider, like when there's a big family, somebody who's considered like the matriarch or the patriarch, and then they pass away, then it's like we're left, there's a void, and then people have no choice but to take what they would have taught you and continue to build.
When Pat Bishop passed away, when there was the scout leader for QRC back in the late 90s or early 2000s, or maybe even before. I think his first name was Lawrence, right? Because QRC they had a concert every Christmas. Very well done production, right? And when he passed away, it just felt as though they weren't ready. And I mean, it was unexpected. No one was ready for him to pass away. So the organization now, it just dipped a little bit just naturally because the void to just replace him, right, in the same year, in that same year that he passed away. It's like, you can't just do that all of a sudden. And part of it is having to have a space for imperfection. Part of the problem is
people to hold your hand through the mistakes and through the imperfections.
Right, but like any community or organization needs, because even this applies to a business, you need to give people some amount of leeway to fail, and then have ways to compensate for that. Not, oh my gosh, they're gonna fail, so let's just step aside and micromanage. Because again, it comes back down to, so what happens when you're not there?
Right.
What happens when the work now becomes too big for you? Because everybody wants the community to grow, but if it's dependent on one person, how does it grow beyond the ability of that one person, right? So, and this is the thing, when people are, and you can also have situations where if you're like stuck to the same thing over and over again, if something goes wrong with that formula, outside of your control, what are you gonna do? That's why you have to be comfortable with imperfection, so that you start to learn methods and strategies, whether practical or psychological, to deal with those obstacles.
Then the organization follows, the members of the organization follows, right?
Because just basically, and then sometimes too, when you are faced with challenges, necessity can be the mother of innovation, and you find new and better ways to do something.
Correct, that's right. And the last couple of slides as we wrap up the discussion, you know, it says community is an art form that invites us to slow down, to be present, to notice what's working and what's not, to create with intention and put it into action. Art takes effort, so does community. It requires vision, action, patience, emotional labor, and ongoing care, especially when the inspiration dims and the practice has to be maintained. So there's this thing with music and artists in general. Like, you're not going to be motivated all of the time. You're not going to be inspired all of the time.
And whatever community, whether artistic or not. When you start off, everybody's all hot and sweaty for it.
Right.
But after a few months.
So this is why you have to stay focused on the purpose and the intention. What is it? So there's this thing in the artistic community where the reason that you, especially when you study at the academic level, a lot of great compositions happen through inspiration, right? But a lot of also long-lasting compositions happen because you learned a process, even when you're not in that, even when you don't feel that burst of inspiration and that burst of motivation. You didn't wake up with a melody in your head. Because I remember when I was doing my composition course, my lecturer just said, put down 5 ideas. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It could be any length. It could be 5 bars, it could be 10 bars, it could be 2 bars, whatever. Just put down 5 ideas. And towards the end of the course, he brought us through processes, and at the end of it, I thought, I understand now. Because while there are skills that we are learning, while there's a process, while we have talent, and while inspiration and motivation is great, there's skills that we're learning, there's steps to a process that we're learning, because we know the inspiration does not come all of the time. And sometimes, especially when you're dealing with your instrument, practice and discipline. Right? You're not going to always be motivated to practice. You're not always going to be inspired to try a new song, or to try a new repertoire. But the discipline helps put yourself in that situation so that you grow stronger, your mind and your body and everything just grows stronger, so that when it's time, you're able to go. Yeah.
Yeah, just one of the things too with that is simply, when you have certain projects that you would like to do, you can't just wait on motivation.
Correct.
So California Girls was a response to Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' New York State of Mind, because they were fed up about hearing about New York. But you need to have because it's not like a fit of inspiration. I was like, no, we have an intention. And we need to be able to put it out there.
All right, that has been our first segment for Breakthrough. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
KDM Health Limited says, test yourself for STDs in the privacy of your own home. Our self-help test kits for all STDs are available at our wholesale office in Chaguanas. Call 283-1423, visit our website at www.kdmhealtht.com or email us at kdmhealthlimited@gmail.com to place your orders. Available at all health institutions and pharmacies. Contact us for a free list of products and prices.
Welcome to ASTI, Advanced Solutions Technical Institute. We offer hands-on training in drone technology, fiber optics, hybrid, security, business support, and more. Our programs are built to equip you with real-world skills for today's evolving industries. Get certified, get hired, and take your career to the next level with ASTI. Call 778-2135 or email info@astitnt.com. ASTI, where learning meets opportunity.
Feeling drained? Struggling to keep up? It's time to take control of your wellness. On this episode of Wellness Unlocked, we're diving into the key nutrients your body needs for all-day energy and balance, with 100% or more of your daily essential vitamins, plus added chromium to support healthy blood sugar. This is complete wellness in a single soft gel. Join us as we uncover how small changes can make a big impact on your health. Don't miss Wellness Unlocked. Watch now on WESN and take the first step toward better health.
Hi, I'm Claudette, radiographer at the radiology departments at the community hospital. We offer high-quality service with state-of-the-art equipment in X-ray, ultrasound, CT, and mammogram. Come, our friendly staff awaits you.
Give us a call at 235-5479.
The Community Hospital of Seventh-day Adventist,
where good private health care is affordable.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3, search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot a stalemate.
You'll focus on the woman who's being the victim,
right,
or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Welcome back to Breakthrough, ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago. As we were talking about community building, we have here representatives of I would say a powerful community, a joint effort of a powerful community, especially when it comes to our youths, because we are talking about the Provi Curacy Steel Orchestra having their event happening, the Magnificent 7 Invitational Schools Pan Clash. And joining us on set is Curacy Principal, Mr. David Simon, and Captain Stage Side of the Provi Curacy Steel Orchestra, Michaela Brito. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Thank
morning.
you so much for joining us this morning.
It's nice to be here.
Lovely. So tell us, I want to tell us about the event and what's happening.
Okay, so I could perhaps begin. The event is an invitational event. So we have, Michaela, you want to call the schools that we have involved?
First, from the south, we have Presentation San Fernando. Then we have San Juan North. We have Belmont Tranquility. We have Bishops, Anstey High. And then we have St. Francois. And we also have St. James Sec. These are the 6 schools really participating in the clash itself. And then we have Provi Curacy hosting it. So we shall also be performing there as well.
All right, and each of these schools sort of represent the Magnificent 7.
Yes,
Curacy being one of them.
Yes, so of course Provi Curacy is Curacy, and then each school is assigned to a building. We have done a number of reels. Don't ask me which school is attached to the building, right? I don't remember that. But we've done a number of reels with each school attached to one of the Magnificent 7. And there has been opportunities for those schools to advertise themselves, their orchestras, their steel orchestras, and then, of course, utilize that to educate the public about the buildings that are around the Savannah that are so entrenched in our own national history.
I mean, they are entrenched in history, but to some extent, is it fair to say that not a lot of people really know much about it? QRC is both famous because of the events there, the school itself, but also like it's the one that, you know, you're driving past. It's hard to miss. It's easier to miss some of the others. And of course, I think a couple are privately owned. The government owns a couple as well. 2 churches own one each. And they're not necessarily as open and not visually open as well. And people might not know about it. Is there some hope to kind of like, hey, this is a significant part of our heritage, and you know we want to keep it alive. We don't want like the living memory of it to just go away.
Yeah. So that is why. Well, let me backtrack a bit, right? The idea for this came many years ago. There was an individual who worked and was very instrumental in the early portions of QRC having a steel orchestra. That was the QRC Pan Ensemble. His name is Reynald Howard. And Mr. Howard, now Profi QRC started in 2013. All right, so Mr. Howard was very integral in that. And what we found is that after school Panama, there wasn't anything else for the apart from school Panama, there's nothing.
Yes.
So Mr. Howard and I had a number of discussions about what can we do. Now QRC tended to support their tours because QRC as an ensemble went on tour for a number of years. Mr. Howard had put together a number of pan jazz events. But then we started talking, how do we involve some of the other schools? And it was he who came up with that name, Magnificent Seven. What if we do something with the Magnificent Seven? Now we talked about it, and that idea just lay low for a while, for a number of years. And I'll tell you what happened. In 2024, we played For Spite by Kiss. And we placed second. And I think that year, the national champions were Penal Holy Faith. Yeah? And we came second, tied with Naps combined. Now, you would not believe how difficult it was to motivate those kids. Michaela and they were so disappointed. You are finishing second in a competition, and it is almost as if, you know, they are so disappointed. So after that, all of the adults had a task motivating them. After that, I went away asking myself, is this all? Is this after this competition? This is it? There's nothing until a year when they have the opportunity to come on stage and redeem themselves. I think that gave us a trust as Profi QRC, both the principal of Providence, Mrs. Gorin, and our arranger, a young lady by the name of Kimberly Sinclair, right? Magnificent. And she constantly produces music. So we decided Profi QRC is not going to be a Panama school band. We are going to do all sorts of things. And I guess Michaela will talk about some of the things that she was involved in because we've done a host of things. But then I revisited that idea. So it started, what can we do? And then I presented the idea again to Mrs. Gorin and Kimberly, and we started planning. And this thing is just growing. You know, it is just blossoming into something. People are asking us, are you going to do it every year? We will not be doing it every year simply because we already have another event, which is a concert that we do, Steel at Sunset.
Right.
That is always done in the year that we tour. So what we do is we do our music and we give Trinidad and Tobago a treat before we tour. So we play all the music that we will play on tour. So that concert is set. It's known as Steel at Sunset. And we tend to have it just before we tour in late July through August.
Is it tour annually or
every
biannually?
2 years.
Right, so
Every
it
2
fits
years.
in between.
So what we are going to be doing now is having this invitational, which may change up in terms of when we see it, we may change it. When I came in this morning, Mr. Louis Singh was blown away. And he was giving us some ideas that he had in terms of how we could broaden it. So it is a work in progress that we will see, you know, how it's going to develop. But certainly that was the impetus, that these young people don't just have the school Panama and then that's it.
Right.
It is something geared to school participation, hence the school bands.
Right. So, it's sort of ironic that that was the discussion we were having before about community building. Now, it builds a great community for the students of both Providence and QRC. So, Michaela, I want to ask you, like, he mentioned, you know, a lot of things that you all would have done. What are some of those things that you all would have done? And if I may, what are some of the things, what you're looking forward to with this event specifically?
Well, to begin, we had our tour. The first time Providence was invited to the tour, we toured Washington, Maryland, and Virginia. That was 2024, July. And then we had that tour for 2 weeks. We performed various places. It was really fun, impactful for me specifically to see our culture being shown to the wider world. As how we are a small island, it's like they were fascinated with us, and it was really touching. We have had some stuff that were never done before from other schools, as in we've performed live band for the carnival with Belter Moon. We were a steel pan performing and accompanying a kiddies carnival mass band. We performed 2 days, one on the Sunday and the Saturday. We performed in Port of Spain, as well as the Eastern Main Road. So we went to Tunapuna, Aruca, San Juan. It was just something amazing. Seeing as it's never been done before, and to be part of that for the first time, to make sort of like history, I guess, for school. It was really impactful. And then we had the Curfter Games recently, before exams started. So we had performed for the aquatic games to accompany them, and it was like amazing. Seeing as at the Caribbean, Trinidad invented the steel pan, and like everybody get in the Caribbean enjoying our music, supporting them as they have their aquatic games, their swimming. It was really like just amazing.
I can only imagine.
As a student, what does it mean to you to have like this slate of events? Because it's one thing to practice, but like if it's just annually, how hard are you going to practice for like 6 months of the year, right? You're going to wait until you're like 3 months out and then like, all right guys, let's get this thing serious. But also, if you lose, then there's disappointment and you have to wait until the next year, right? As opposed to now, because you're a student, you're not going to be part of the Provi QRC ensemble forever, you know? New students will come in, you will have to, you know, maybe find another ensemble, but your school career is limited. So what does it mean to you to have all of these experiences that, you know, you might not have had if you were a few years earlier?
It was like how I started steel pan. At first I started it just as an activity to do with my siblings. So as I got more involved in it, it was like I never imagined that something like a steel pan, like an instrument, that got me so absorbed into it, and really it made my day a lot like lighter. Like as you said, I'm a school student. I recently graduated upper 6, so it had to balance both school and steel pan activities. But sometimes it was like when school's stressful, like playing pan, it just lightened my mood, get me more focused, and just and it would seem kind of weird because people say it's taking you away from schoolwork, but if you have to see, like, it just, the mentality, it lightened my mentality, helped me feel more refreshing to have a better outlook in terms of actually partaking in school. And as you mentioned, how we have a limited time, actually that's one of our goals, to now lengthen the time period. So like we won't be just a steel orchestra like with students. We want to really build it towards, Mr. Simon was saying, we want to build to bring a medium band so that even after you graduate, you can still give back.
Keep the community.
Yeah.
Y'all, this morning, y'all were talking about, you know, community building being an art form. Now, we, Provi QRC, think we are looking at how do we, as a school steel orchestra, make an impact on our national community, that it is going to be one that is going to be beneficial to our youths. Now, we have gone past just thinking about Provi QRC and our youths, because if you're recognizing that this event on Saturday the 23rd involves a number of other schools, all right, so that we understand the broadness of the community and developing our young people, because these are the future. Our time has basically gone, you know, this is their time, you know, so we are really investing. And you made a very important point there when you were talking about Michaela moving on, but that is not our vision. Right. Our vision is that Provi QRC is going to have a medium band, so that we are going to be able to retain quite a number of our individuals. And the plan then is not just that we are going to have individuals who are going to be playing pan. We want to encourage those among us who are rangers and that sort of thing to be able to come back and arrange. So we are really looking it is so interesting that what preceded our discussion was your discussion. We are looking at really building an ecosystem that where Profi QRC is at the heart, but it is going to be sustainable.
Well, I just need to ask real quick because Michaela touched on something about how PAN helped to refresh for academics.
Stole my question.
Because I'm sorry, but I have had many interviews from QRC, so this is just one of the things where I always like, whenever you all have events like this, how it corroborates with the development of students, right? But also in this case, academic performance. QRC is always a school that is, I would dare I say, more all-rounded, or at least appreciates the arts more than a lot of the other boys' schools. I mean, let me not speak for the girls, right? The boys' schools, right? And because I've seen that, my cousin went to QRC, I've seen the fruits of the programs. What is it like? I don't know if you could just speak on that, like the importance you think of having these things, and it helps academic performance, not take away.
It does, it does. I mean, if you go back historically, all right, let's just go back historically to many of the great empires. So if we look at the Greeks, the Romans, as part of their educational curriculum, music and sports and that sort of thing was very much a part of the curriculum. So even in terms of modern educational history and the development of theory, that has always been a part. Now, what Michaela spoke about there is also an economic theory and the law of diminishing returns.
Yes.
Right? As when you are behind the books, there is going to come a 2-hour, 2.5-hour period when not as much as you think you are putting in is being retained. What needs to happen at that point in time? The brain needs to be refreshed, all right? You need to rest. So when Michaela and company have something else that is able to refresh them, revitalize them, build their confidence, etc., then when they go back into the books, they go back with a renewed vigor. So that blend of the co-curricular activities, it has been well proven in educational theory that assists learning rather than retards it.
For sure, because I mean, as an educator myself, there's the learning pyramid theory, whereas like whatever you learn in a classroom, I'm sorry, you're only retaining about 10%, if so much, right? But you retain 90%, 80 to 90% when you do with others, and then when you teach others. So the fact that you want to do a medium band, so that then the graduates and other community members can come in and then train those who are in it, you know, that then you yourself are also benefiting from it because you are now in a position to teach them who would be the then current students of the other band. Now, I find this so interesting and I'm loving every minute of it. The audience gets to see the product, but but I know what the rehearsal process is like for me. What is the rehearsal process like for you, especially being stage side captain?
Sometimes it's overwhelming and tiring, but at least for me, practice sessions weren't always my favorite. I always preferred the performance itself. But to get to the performance, you have to put into the effort, you have to practice. But I would say one thing that's enjoyable, our group, we're kind of really close in a sense that we all get along well. So some practice sessions, we make fun, we joke around with each other. And me personally, the best part when I love in practice, when we're learning a new piece, getting to see it come together at the start. Because as we usually practice, we practice in sections. So the front line will practice by themselves and learn it, while the background will do the same. So actually getting to come together and witness it, coming like all being produced at that moment is like mind-blowing. Or specifically with Miss Kimley, our arranger, if she makes up stuff on the spot to give, it's like, wow. Like, this is how far you could go with music. This is like how, like, it has no limits, for the creativity, it's just amazing. And specifically, of the steel pan itself, a lot of people have this ideology, this idea that it's really a soca kind of instrument, or only for panorama, as Mr. Simon was saying, but we've played multiple genres, and you're going to see multiple genres being performed at the show itself on the 23rd, because we are just trying to show that, okay, yes, it was mainly created for Carnival, but it's not limited to Carnival. You could play anything. We have played for the Indian Prime Minister, President, when he came recently.
Great.
And we played chutney songs, we played some Hindu worship songs. On our tour, we play pop music. We've played reggae. We have a lot R&B. It's no limits, whatever. So it's like amazing. Just getting to be a part of that and witness all of that firsthand, specifically.
Right. For sure. Listen, I'm loving everything that you're saying, and especially today being World Steel Pan Day, and this month being World Steel Pan Month. You know, it's amazing that these students are taking their talent and their effort and their discipline.
One thing, right? Michaela spoke about that, but there's another dimension as well in terms of. This is one of our stage side. This is our stage side captain from the school, female school. We have the male. They have to go through training. She can speak to. She would have done a number of sessions with myself and the principal of Mrs. Corin on leadership. We do building resilience. Right. So, for example, if I could go back to that experience of when we finished second and they were so disappointed. We spoke about resilience, building resilience, being faced with instances in your life when you would want to have achieved this, but you have not. What happens then? So it became, we are using the steel band model as a teaching model to further the curriculum as well, you know, in terms of the development of a number of aspects. So when you spoke about QRC and QRC's involvement in that, that is the core of what we believe, that those models are inextricably bound to the curriculum. Right? And this is what we are reproducing. So Michaela is speaking about the actual music, but she knows that there's going to come a time when she has to, they have different types of training. We would bring in individuals who will speak to them about certain things, and all of those things are planned because we see it as an overall development.
Very well, like all of what you all are saying speaks to the theory that Mark brought up earlier, the intention and the commitment and the investment. And it's not just, all right, we come together to learn a song to play for Panorama.
Yeah, it's
because now you have a year-long program, multiple events, multiple engagements, international engagements, right? But also leadership training. And this is where, folks, development, right? Leadership training and being resilient to bounce back. You need that to be an adult in the adult working world.
Very true.
When we went on tour, we actually took them to a university, right? Okay. And these youngsters, Michaela and her group, were able to see that there are scholarships waiting there for steel pan. Everybody thinks there's athletics and there's football, but there are music scholarships, there are all sorts of scholarships.
I actually didn't know there were steel pan scholarships.
Yes, they are. Yes. And they would not have found out that until they visited, right? And you recognize that I'm happy that we made this our national instrument officially, because the world is ready to pounce on this,
yes,
because there are so many different elements, and they were able to see it. Their core, you know, curricula being developed around the steel band, and courses offered in universities on the steel band that we don't have in Trinidad and Tobago. So it is something that we need to look at very seriously.
And I will just like to say, many of those people who are lecturing those courses are people that were taught down here, especially many of the
and throughout the Caribbean.
I just have to I always say sports and music in this country are red-headed stepchildren. Because the benefits of them, you just heard.
For sure, for sure. Let's just bring up that flyer one more time as we head out. The Provi QRC Steel Orchestra presents Magnificent 7 Invitational Schools Pan Clash, Saturday the 23rd of August 2025 at 1 p.m. Right at the Queen's Royal College grounds. All right, adults are $150 and students are $100. Where can people get tickets?
People can get tickets from any member from the organization at the two schools, at Providence Girls Catholic School in the office, as well as in the office of Queen's Royal College.
Okay.
All right, and any member of the orchestra would have tickets.
Perfect.
But the tickets, especially the adult tickets, it's very interesting, that we have the student tickets and the adult tickets are the ones that are almost done.
Right.
Yes, almost done.
Lovely. I wish you all, we wish you all the best and all the success in your endeavors.
Just want to give a shout out, if you put up the second flyer with the schools participating there, so we could just have San Juan North Secondary, Bishop Annesley High School, St. James Secondary, Belmont Tranquility Secondary, Presentation College, San Fernando, and St. Francis Girls College. So come out and support. But you know what? Since there's so many student tickets now, please consider getting tickets for various students so that they have a chance to experience this. Even if you yourself are not going, carpool, figure something out so that, you know, some young people will have potentially their horizons expanded and see some of the possibilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on set. It's been a great getting to know, and I wish you all the success in the end and everything.
Thank you for having us.
Not a problem, not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, this has been Breakthrough. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
WESN.